All right, guys, today we are gonna be reacting to the Wiesel, the fire powerhouse for the Fallschirmjäger. I think that's how you pronounce that. Thank you so much for the support, guys. We're gonna simply jump in to see what's going on here. Let's go.
And today we will look at the Waffenträger Wiesel 1 or mobile weapons platform Wiesel 1. This is a very light tank and is quite in contrast to the heavy tanks Germany is known for. So the first question is, why such a light tank?
Unsurprisingly, this has to do with doctrine. Under the Cold War doctrine, it was planned to deploy the airborne forces of the German Bundeswehr at the focal points of the fighting. To provide the paratroopers with mobility, additional firepower and anti-armor capabilities, they had been issued the Kraka, which is short for Kraftkahn or power carriage in English. As you can see, this vehicle is equipped with anti-tank missiles. With its 0.75 tons carrying capacity, it could also be used to transport machine cannons and mortars as well. Although great for crew comfort regarding ventilation, the Kraka did not provide any protection from fragments nor small arms fire. As such, when the Bundeswehr began looking for a successor in 1969, it wanted to have a vehicle that offered protection against fragments and small arms fire. In 1970, the first tactical requirements were defined. At this point, it was not decided if the vehicle should be wheeled or tracked. The original concept only required the vehicle to be transportable by large planes like the C-130 Hercules or the C-160 Transall. Yet this requirement was increased. The reworked requirement catalog now requested that the new vehicle could be transported as internal load with a CH-53G medium transport helicopter. Of course, this was not the end yet, far from it. Subsequently, requirements called for the capability of the vehicle carrying a 20mm autocannon, the hot anti-tank missile system, and a 120mm mortar. Additionally, studies were performed which led to much stronger transport requirements. One of the aims in the development was that two of the armored weapon carriers could be transported as internal load of a CH-53G transport helicopter. This of course brought some serious limitations and challenges. There were some further changes to the tactical requirements. Finally, in July 1973, the official requirements were announced. In April 1975, the series production of 270 was ordered, which was later increased to 500. Wooden mock-ups and prototypes followed. In 1977 and 1978, the prototypes were tested. Following this, troop trials were conducted. However, due to several different reasons, the Wiesel project was terminated prior to the date the contract gained legal effect in 1979.
Why putting all this energy in this, terminating things that quick?
Of course, the paratroopers still needed a replacement for the Kraka. So in 1981, a market survey for a replacement was conducted. The requirements were changed again in 1983. New tactical requirements were released.
Again, we're doing some testing, so let me know what you guys think, how the microphone is sounding. I'm just checking on my microphone, make sure that everything is good. Also, sometimes a video just go up in volume, then down volume. I have no control of that. This is not a up-the-top computer. You know, we're still saving to buy a new desktop.
Also, it was required to use the WWII 2-liter 5-cylinder turbo diesel. This all led to an increased weight, which led to the use of lightweight alloy. Then, in May 1984, a prototype of the MK 20mm variant with closed hull was demonstrated. Later, another prototype was built that featured a reversible turret in which the weapon and the sighting systems were mounted. This solution was preferred over the earlier one. Finally, after funds had been allocated, Porsche finally received the development contract on the 7th June 1985. This led to the construction of new prototypes and then troop trials in 1986. Subsequently, development finished in 1987. The contract called for 210 Wiesel TOW and 133 Wiesel MK. and they were delivered between 1990 and 1992. Additionally, 7 vehicles were sent for trials in the United States.
Okay.
Let us look at the chassis of the
Ooh.
Wiesel. The self-supporting hull of the Wiesel 1 is constructed of sheets of high-hardened steel in various thicknesses. The hull provides protection for the crew from the effects of light infantry weapons up to caliber 7.62 mm, as well as from splinters of mortars and artillery shells. Some technical data. In terms of length, one source notes 3.26 meters for the variant equipped with the tow missile.
Wow, that's not that big, right? It's kind of in a small side, but you know, this kind of practical.
Yet the information plate of the Military History Museum Dresden notes for the MK20 variant a length of 3.55 meters. The width is given with 1.82 meters and the height with 1.79 meters. Note, Wikipedia lists several values, usually in a range from 2, which likely includes variants. We will discuss later in this video. The combat weight is given with 2,687 kg and a crew of 2 men. Note that the tow variant had a crew of 3 men and a combat weight of 2,847 kg.
Okay.
The engine is a 5-cylinder turbo diesel with 87 horsepower. This gives the Wiesel 1 a horsepower to ton ratio of 32.4. In comparison, the Leopard 2A6 has about 24.2. The Leopard 1A5 had 19.6.
So
The Panther
hold on.
13.4 horsepower per
So the heavier the tank, the less horsepower per ton. I guess it's because it's more expensive, I guess, right?
ton and the valve.
Interesting.
Of course,
Oof, look at
such a
that,
low
bro.
weight can also have some drawbacks.
Okay.
Here you can see
Wow.
the Wiesel 1 driving around during Stahl auf der Heide 2019,
So
and it's
light.
quite a bumpy ride. The fuel tank at the back has a capacity of 80 liters, and in overall the operational range is noted as 400 kilometers by the Military History Museum Dresden, although another source notes 200 to 300 kilometers. In terms of speed,
Wow,
the
look at those
maximum
tanks.
speed is noted with 80 kilometers per hour on roads, which is almost 50 miles per hour. For cross-country, the speed is around 60 kilometers per hour, which is about 37 miles per hour. Yet more interesting is probably the very high cross-country mobility of the Wiesel due to its low weight and limited ground pressure. Due to its relative low ground
It
pressure,
literally looks like it's almost just off the ground. It looks very fast too, like very fast.
3.6 Newton per cubic centimeter, the Wiesel 1 still maintains its mobility on ground where other combat vehicles cannot be operated anymore. Without problems, the vehicle can climb gradients of 60% and negotiate slide slopes of 30%. It can also cross ditches up to a width of 120 cm and climb over obstacles up to 40 cm height. The vehicle does not feature amphibious capabilities but can ford water obstacles up to 50 cm depth without any additional preparation.
Time to take a look at the general arrangements. So here's the position of the driver on the right hand side. Notice this anti-slip coating here, so that the driver can get in and out. Here's an access hatch for starting if the battery is out, so you can plug in another vehicle here. Notice that here are the lights, and here you already have the camouflage lights on top as well, here on the left hand side as well. Next to the driver under here is the power pack. So you have your engine, your transmission system, cooling system, everything in here. A good maintenance crew can change this whole system in about 15 minutes. This little access hatch is for changing the engine and transmission oil. And here on top you have the inlet for the cooling. So we are getting now into the driver's seat. Here's can see
I was about to say.
periscopes. And here
I
what
was
you're gonna
about to say. Most of the time we cannot see the inside of a tank, and this guy. Well, I don't know if this is a tank. Let me just be careful here. Some of y'all were saying, no, you have to be careful. Some of these are not tank. But let me know. This one looks like a tank, folks. This one looks like a tank for me.
actually see with them. So you have a nice
Looks very
view outside. Here you have the steering wheel.
Yeah.
And on the left side is the power pack.
Wow, that's how the wheel
Right
is.
above to our left.
So the wheel is here instead of here. So you're doing more of this, right? This instead of this. Why is that, huh? I think it might be something with the visual, right? When you're visualing. Oh, you're standing. Okay, I see. You're standing. You cannot. Well, yeah, because if you're standing and you're driving the wheel, your wrist will go like this, right? So that can cause a lot of problems. You're standing, you will go like this. So it's less problem. All right, that makes sense.
Is the autocannon. And behind us is the fighting compartment where the commander and gunner would be sitting. So the commander and gunner was the same person. Now you might notice, hey, there's a lot of space there, and tanks are usually confined, but you should not forget, here would be ammunition, equipment, and all the other stuff located.
Yep.
So these vehicles here in the museum are usually quite empty in comparison. Thank you very much to the
How many crews would
the
you
employee of
expect
the museum
to have inside a
who
tank like
opened
this?
these tanks and notified me about that when I say, oh, yeah, it's quite a lot of space. And they say, yeah, but you forget something.
Let us hop outside again to see the gears and tracks. As you can see, the Wiesel has only one return roller. This is in contrast to the larger Wiesel 2, which has 2 return rollers.
Okay.
As such, you have an easy way to distinguish the two. Next on the track are the tracks. Initially, the Wiesel 1 armored weapon carrier was fielded with the endless rubber band track with vulcanized in-wire reinforcements and center guide. However, after several cases of this track snapping, it was replaced with the more robust model 622A, or respectively the model 622B double pin track. Although some problems remain with the tracks, finally due to these issues and experiences in Afghanistan, the model 622D double pin track was
So they
developed
did
in
use it. They used them. Okay.
2004.
Let us look at the armament next. So we have a machine cannon DM6 20mm here, so an autocannon. And you immediately notice that there are 2 cartridge boxes and 2 feeding systems. One is for high explosive and one is for armor piercing. You could switch between them. And interestingly, if you look at them, they are captioned. And they're captioned in both German and English at once. So you look at high, which means high explosive, and hochexplosiv in German, so that's fine. But AP is armor piercing, and in German that would be panzerbrechend. Yet there is noted Patr, which is short for Patrone, which is cartridge. So that is actually in German. Quite interesting tidbit to notice here.
The boxes usually contain 100 shots of high explosive ammunition and 60 shots of armor piercing ammunition. Additionally, up to 240 shots could be stored within the fighting compartment. The 20mm autocannon was intended for ground targets, but could also be used against air targets for self-defense. The gun can be traversed 120 degrees to each side horizontally. The vertical elevation ranges from -10 degrees up to 45 degrees. Note that the Wiesel A1 and A2 received improved sighting systems for night fighting capabilities.
Let's get into the fighting compartment. Notice the fighting compartment for the Wiesel is dependent on the variant. We are now in the autocannon variant, as you can clearly see. Here again, we have our vision device. So here forward, and here we have one sideways, and another one to the side as well. You can see a bit of the museum outside. Now here we have the ammo selector, armor piercing, high explosive, and 0, which I assume is basically the safety. And correspondingly outside here we have a P, and here we have high ammunition. For the elevation of the gun, we have this control, and here for the horizontal. And above the horizontal, we have the indicator for how much ammunition is left. And here we have the actual gun sight. Note that during fighting in Afghanistan, it was noticed that the compartment, the fighting compartment, was getting a bit too cold, so a special heater was installed. Also noticed that usually here way more equipment and ammunition is stored. So over here on the right side, there would be ammunition. And at other places as well. So this is way less comfy than it is right
Yeah,
now for
wow,
me.
that does not look comfortable.
The Wiesel
That does not look comfortable.
1 came in various variants and sub-variants. We mostly
Very
looked
light.
at the MK20 variant,
Look at that.
which had 5 sub-variants including the original base variant. The other 4 variants differ in terms of equipment, namely 2 different thermal imaging systems and with or without command and control system, which consists of an IT suite which was introduced in 2007.
The leaves.
Another major variant was the Wiesel 1 TOW, which had a crew of 3 men instead of 2 men of the autocannon variant. This variant had a larger combat weight of around 2.8 tons. It was equipped with a TOW missile launcher, whereas TOW is short for tube-launched optical tracked wire guided. The launcher can be traversed 45 degrees to the left and right, whereas the elevation can be -10 to +10 degrees. The combat loadout is 7 TOW missiles, which have a range from 65 to 3,750 meters. Note that this version of the TOW Wiesel had no secondary armament, but one Fallschirmjäger unit began mounting an MG3 in the front of the loader, and subsequently standardized MG mounts were developed. There was also an improved seating system introduced in order to allow the commander and loader to stand for a longer time. Finally, there's also a sub-variant with a command and control system. There is also a recon variant of the Wiesel, which is based on the hull of the TOW variant, although without the TOW, but with a crew of 3 men. This variant is only equipped with an MG3, yet every member of the crew is also issued an assault rifle, and one small 40mm grenade launcher is stored in the vehicle. The combat weight of this variant is 3.2 tons, as such it is even heavier than the TOW variant. This is due to the observation equipment. It includes a laser rangefinder, thermal imaging systems, and a black and white daylight camera system. The sensor head of the system can be raised up to a height of 220 centimeters above the ground. Within 6 seconds, the sensors can be fully elevated. This whole system is integrated with a command, control and information system as well. Another variant is the driving school version, which features a large crew cabin for the trainer on top of the vehicle. The latest Wiesel 1 is the remote controlled variant that was introduced in 2013, which is part of the route clearance system. This was a reaction to the threat by IEDs, improvised explosive devices. The Journal of the Bundeswehr reported in 2013 on this system. The route clearance system consists of the operator patrol vehicle, Fuchs Kai from
shout out to this guy, man.
the detector vehicle.
He knows the inside out of this, right, man? This is. I'm just appreciating the art of just knowing this, because this guy is full detail when it comes down to this. I have no idea about tanks. I do love war stuff, but I'm not into going into specifics when it comes down to war machines. So shout out to this guy,
Remote
man.
Wiesel 1 from Rheinmetall, the manipulator vehicle, unmanned manipulator system Mini Mine Wolf 240 from Mine Wolf Systems, and the logistic transport vehicle Truck Multi FSR from Rheinmetall MAN military vehicles. The elements will be used in combination for reconnaissance and clearance of booby traps for operation and transport. Although the information plate of the MAN Dresden notes, following the introduction of the Wiesel 2, a gradual phase-out of the Wiesel 1 armored air-transportable weapon carrier began in 2008. There was a change in plans, as so often. The final days of the Wiesel 1 has not come yet. According to an article from 2019, a contract was given to modernize 181 Wiesel 1s.
Damn.
Which should allow to use them until 2030. Note that both the
these people just keep 2030, man. What if there's a conflict right now? You're gonna wait that long? Like it doesn't make sense, right?
autocannon and anti-tank missile version are affected, although the TOW is replaced with a more
like 2030. That's don't you guys think that's kind of far? Like, you need to test these things right now. Like, just make sure that you can get to to the feedback. I'm not gonna say this, but I'm gonna say it. You have a conflict very close by. Why not keep trying them and get feedback on that in the front line? Well, I don't know. I'm just a guy from Wisconsin. I don't know. I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I would love to hear you guys' opinions. I'll see you in the next one.